Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see you here again. And as I said yesterday, today we're going to be talking about poultices from your kitchen. And so there is a handout for this as well, so that a lot of what I'm going to say is already written down for you, and you can just concentrate on listening to it so you don't miss anything. And there should be plenty of handouts for everyone. But before we get started, I am going to open with a word of prayer, and then I do have a couple of things to say before I plunge into this lecture. So, if you don't have a handout, does anyone not have one? You can raise your hand. Looks like everyone's got one so far. All right, perfect. All right, let's have a word of prayer, and we'll get started. Our precious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for this opportunity that we have once again to come together and to learn. I thank you for the things that we learned even this morning and with each one of the presentations, and I just thank you for our time to spend and fellowship together, and I ask for your Holy Spirit to be here with us, that you would continue to send your cool breezes here with us as well, and we thank you for the things that you have made just in our vegetables and things from the kitchen that we can use in skillful ways to apply it and help our bodies in healing and wholeness. We just invite your presence here with us right now in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So for one thing, someone had asked yesterday during the charcoal lecture about the two books that I had, the charcoalremedies.com and the RX charcoal, and about the ABC books bookmobile being able to bring some. So I called them, and they said that they're only bringing books that are prepaid for, basically. And so if you want it, you need to call them and request that, and they will bring that when they come here tomorrow. So the RX charcoal, the one by Dr. Thrash, is $6.95. That's the smaller one. And the charcoalremedies.com, that was the thicker one, that's $15.95. And it is calling the Sacramento ABC, and that is, if anyone needs the number, 916-486-7730. 916-486-7730. So the RX charcoal by Dr. Thrash is $6.95. The charcoalremedies.com, the bigger book, is $15.95. And the phone number is 916-486-7730, because they need to already be paid for before they bring them here. That's the second one, yes. Yeah. But it won't come spiral bound. That's right. That's right. Good memory. All right. And then the other thing was, I was just going to ask that if you can please keep your questions related to the present slide that we're on at that point, because we may be answering your question at a later slide. And if you have a question that the whole lecture didn't ask or didn't answer, then you can ask me that at the end. Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll keep it to what we're talking about for each slide. All right. So, of course, my disclaimer, not a doctor, not a nurse. Your results may vary. This quote is from Selected Messages, page 346. Natural means used in accordance with God's will bring about supernatural results. Such a simple thing, but yet that is so powerful. Natural means, that's what we're going to be talking about. Cabbage, potatoes, onions, ginger. That's natural, is it not? And those natural means, when they're used in accordance with God's will, simple remedies, home remedies, the way He puts into these plants that will help with healing our bodies. So we know that when we use them these ways, it's in accordance with His will, and that can then bring about supernatural results. And I do very much believe that the most important part of any poultice, charcoal, treatment, hydro, whatever you do, is the prayer over it. Praying and asking God's blessing. You know, if you share this with the neighbor and they've got an aching knee or an elbow and you put a ginger poultice on them, After you put that on, say a simple prayer. Dear Lord, I ask that you would bless this ginger poultice for so-and-so. May it help bring them relief. Amen. It can be something just like that, but you're asking and inviting God's presence there and his help with it. All right, so some people don't know what a poultice is, and if you've never heard that word, it can be a little confusing because does it have something to do with chickens and turkeys, poultry? What's a poultice? That's what I thought when I first heard of it, but it has nothing to do with chickens. Actually, the Google definition is a soft, moist mass of material, typically of plant or flower material, and applied to the body to relieve soreness and inflammation and kept in place with a cloth. It's just very simple. It's like you get a plant material, and today it's more like vegetables and such, but it can be herbs as well, comfrey. Poultice is really good, but that's a whole nother different kind of subject. But you get that, you basically mash it, crush it, blend it, you do something to it to be releasing its juices. You put that on your body where you're having a problem, and you wrap it up so it holds it in place, and that's a poultice. So it's very easy. I am going to be actually making each one as I talk about it so that you can see how simple it is. This is nothing rocket science. It's simple. A child could do it. You need to know what you would use for what kind of issues. So we're going to be talking about onion poultice, ginger poultice, cabbage poultice, potato poultice, cayenne pepper poultice, garlic poultice, and castor oil poultice. So those 7. And it's not that there's not more than that. Oatmeal makes a good poultice too, but I can only fit so many into an hour. And so these are the 7 that we're going to go over. So we're going to start with onion. You can make a poultice with raw onions, and you can make a poultice with cooked onions. And you use them for different things. So for the cooked, that is used for earaches and ear infections, and it's used for boils because it's something that draws out. So it draws out infections, it draws out the pain and the ear infections, as well as having the sulfur compounds of the onion that helps with healing things. So what you do for your cooked onion poultice is you're going to fully wrap an onion in the skin and everything with foil and put it in the oven. How long it takes is how large your onion is. If it's a small one, it's going to be done faster, obviously, a larger one longer. But you just want to cook it until the onion is soft. The whole thing is cooked through and it's nice and soft. And then you would have it wrapped a little more tightly. Just saves me time to have it loose. And let's say that this is now cooked. You're going to have something to protect your hands because this is very hot, okay? And what you're going to do is slice it in half crosswise so that you see the rings, okay? And this is kind of large. If I was doing this for the ears, I might do something a little bit smaller, but I got the smallest onion I could find. They were just massive. And what you do first is you're going to get just a teaspoon, and you're going to squeeze some of that onion juice into the spoon, and you make sure that it's a comfortable temperature. It's not too hot, but the spoon is going to cool it down pretty quick. And for that earache or that ear infection, you're going to then put that onion juice into that ear, and then you're going to take your onion and you want to wrap it in a towel. It can be a dish towel, a hand towel, and you just need enough layers to where you can put that onion on that ear and it won't burn. You want it to be hot, a comfortable burning hot, okay? And so if it's too hot, well, put another layer of towel. If it's not hot enough, then take a layer away until you get that comfortable hot. And that's a loud beep. Okay. And that there, you can either tie it to the head, like you see here. A little boy's got the head wrapped with a piece of material that's just safety pinned together and it's holding it on the ear, or you can simply lay down with it until that onion has cooled. And once it has completely cooled, then you remove it. But a lot of times, doing that treatment just one time will take away the pain. Now, if you do that treatment and it gives relief, but it doesn't take it all away, or the pain went away, but later it came back, the fact that it went away at all or was relieved was your body telling you, yes, this is good. It's doing something good, and so that will tell you that if it comes back, they'll then just do that same treatment again. And it depends on the severity of your ear issue as to how many times you may need to do it. Like I said, a lot of times just once does it. There was a lady who had a very severe ear infection, and she had to do one every day for a week. But then after that week, because the pain, it would go away, but then later at the end of the day, it would come back again. So the next day she did it again, and it would go away, and then it would come back. So she did it every day for a week, and after that week, the pain went away, and it stayed away. And so it's a very good alternative to antibiotics. It's the natural way of treating those earaches and those ear infections. And so it's a lot of times used for children because they tend to have a lot of earaches and infections and things like that. Can you reuse it? No, you don't reuse it. Yeah, if you have a double earache, you just have a muffler of onions on your ears. If you don't use the other half, you can use it for cooking or something like that, but you don't reuse. You need to use it as it's fresh, hot, out of the oven. It's the most effective that way. And you never, you can do it in the foil in the oven, or you can steam the onion all in the skin, because we're wanting to hold in the onion properties, but you never boil it in water because that will lose the onion properties out into the water. So you either bake it or steam it until it's soft. Microwave, I don't recommend. It can tend to change. It could work some, but it's a little more effective if it's the oven or the steaming. All right. And you may need to, as it gradually cools, start taking one layer off at a time until you're down to one layer, and then when it's cooled with one layer, the treatment is done. Okay? So for using it for a boil, actually, that is going to be done also with the cooked onion, and that you do need to slice it. You cook it in the same way, either the oven or the steaming, and you cut it open crosswise, and you let it cool until it's enough where you can put it directly on the boil. Okay, so this is not wrapped in a cloth. The onion is put straight onto the boil on your skin. And so you just wait until it's that comfortable hot, all right? And then once it is, you're going to put that over the boil, and then you want to secure it with some plastic wrap around that, and then maybe tie it down with an ace bandage or a piece of material that's going to hold it in place. And you can wear that for several hours. You can even keep wearing it after it has cooled down because the onion draws out. And so it's drawing that infection out. And sometimes even if there's like a boil underneath the skin that has not opened yet or created an opening, doing the onion poultice over it can help draw it up and create that opening so that the infection will then come out. So that is, you can even wear it overnight if you want to. So. And of course, you just repeat that until all of that infection has been drawn out, and you throw that onion away. You know, if you wanted to do it again the next day, you would then do it with a fresh onion. Okay? So there are the raw onion poultice that is used for anything respiratory, basically. So all respiratory congestion and infections. Onions have excellent sulfur properties that help with the lungs. Anything going on with your lungs, pneumonia, bronchitis, and just a regular cold, tightness in the chest, coughing, all of that kind of thing. And it helps with the sinus as well, so the upper and lower respiratory. You will use this in 3 different ways: on the chest, on the neck, and on the feet. Okay, so we're going to talk about the neck and the chest first. So normally you would then peel the skin off of this, but I'm just going to chop it the way it is to make it faster right now. And you're going to simply chop it up. It doesn't have to be minced or teeny tiny pieces, but you don't want big old chunks of it either. So depending on the size of the area that you're doing is how much onion you chop up, of course. If you're doing it for a chest, that's going to be more onion than you would use for a neck. So if you do this on your handouts, it's the chest first that we have there. And you use that on a piece of material. It can be a cloth or a paper towel. And I would use one a little bit bigger than this, but I'm just demonstrating right now. And you're going to separate all that onion there in the center of that. And then you're going to fold over all 4 edges. And that helps contain it so that it keeps it from falling all over the place. Okay? So that's the side that you would put on the skin, that side that has 1 layer of paper towel, and it's already starting to get wet with the onion juices. Now, if this were for a chest, I would probably make it at least twice as big as this. But you're going to put that on the bare skin, okay? Not through your clothing, on the bare skin. And you can tape it down, wrap it, wear a tight t-shirt, and just do something to secure it to your chest. And you can then wear that as you go about the day, or you can lay down with it and put a heating pad over it, and that will intensify the action of it, and will put the sulfur compounds into you more quickly that way by heating it up and doing it that way. And you just lay there for an hour with it, at least 20 minutes, I would say, a minimum of 20 minutes, up to an hour that you can do that with the heating pad. If you're doing it without the heating pad, you can wear that for several hours. Some people will wear it overnight and the skin won't get irritated, but for some people that will irritate the skin to have the onion on it for so long. So that's why I recommend not doing it overnight. But you can, try it and see if that works for you, especially for the neck. If you have a sore throat, maybe wearing an onion poultice overnight might help. But if you do that and finds that it was irritating, then you're one that can't do that. But that is very helpful. That really helps in opening up the chest so it eases breathing. And when there's congestion, it helps to loosen things up so that you can then start coughing and getting it out of there. For the neck, you do the exact same thing, although it's going to be a little bit narrower. And you're just wanting it there in the center of that's kind of narrow and long because you want it from ear to ear. So the onion's going to go on the front of the neck there from ear to ear. And again, you're folding over all 4 edges. And you're simply putting that on your throat. And then you can tie a sock around it, tie a scarf around it, just whatever is going to hold it there. Okay? And like this says, it's really good for using for sore throats. So you can put an onion poultice on your neck. I'm going to smell like onions now. Onion poultice on your neck and suck on a charcoal lozenge or 2 and really attack that sore throat and get that out of there. Okay, and that again is worn for several hours. And but I recommend not overnight. For the feet, that is where you can wear the onion overnight because it does not irritate the bottom of the feet. Now you think, onions on the bottom of your feet? A lot of people are puzzled, and what in the world? Why? The reason is because the bottom of your feet has the largest pores of the body. And so those onion compounds, those sulfur compounds, get into your bloodstream much more rapidly. And it was funny because when I tried this myself, because when I get sick, which thankfully isn't too often, I like to try these things that I talk about so I can speak from experience. And so, I found that it definitely does work. I was sick. My chest was really tight, and I was all stuffed in my sinuses. So I'm like, I'm going to put onions on my feet. And I did, and it just, the first thing I noticed was within 2 or 3 minutes, I could taste onion in my mouth. I was like, but it's on my feet. And the other thing I noticed was that pretty soon, the tightness in my chest was gone. I could breathe easily, and my sinuses were opened up. And so I tried it once during the day, and then I did it overnight once as well. And I could breathe just perfectly normal, like I was not sick at all night long with the onions on my feet. And sometimes when you get so stuffed up and you have to breathe through your mouth, and your mouth dries out and wakes you up, and you're just all miserable because you can't breathe, your chest is hot, you're coughing, all this stuff. Onions can help that, give you a good night's sleep. So all you do is you chop up some onion, raw onion, and for each foot, you're going to put in about 2 tablespoons of chopped onion. The larger the foot, the more onion. The smaller the foot, the less. But roughly 2 tablespoons. And you put one in 2 produce bags or something to contain it. And you're going to then put your bare foot into that bag over that onion. Then you simply just slip a sock on over your foot and go to bed. And do one on for each foot. And very super simple, quick and easy to do and make. It really helps with coughing as well. So if you can't sleep at night because you're coughing, to sleep with onions on your feet is really going to help that. Barbara O'Neill, she tells a story of her grandson that was sick. She was visiting her daughter, and I think he was 9 years old, and he was sick, and they had put him to bed, but he was coughing. An hour later, he was still coughing. And of course, when child is up and coughing, then parents cannot sleep either. And so finally, Barbara says, get him out of bed. We're going to put onions on his feet. So they got him out, chopped him onions, slipped him on, put him back to bed. Within a few minutes, no more coughing. He went to sleep, and he was slept all night. And so I had another New Start guest who, after I gave this lecture, she came up and says that she had some kind of chronic sinus issue. I don't remember what it was, but she said, do you think the onion on my feet would help with that? And I said, well, it's not going to hurt to try. And so she did, and she was getting onion every night from the nurse after that because it made such a difference with her being able to sleep well with her sinus condition. And so that is just an excellent thing to do for that. Onions will not burn the feet, so don't worry about that. And it's not something that is going to be harmful for wearing overnight for that. And this, like I said, can be done during the day or night, either one. I see your question. I had this one lady who she and a friend were traveling several hours to an event where they were going to be helping with that event. And she was coming down with something respiratory, and she did not feel good at all. And so what they did is, while her friend was driving, she got onions on her feet. And for those several hours while they traveled, she had that onions on there. And by the time they got to their destination, she felt so much better. And she was able to then do the work with helping with that event of what they were supposed to do. So, yes.
My niece is a nurse, and I think it's the ER or the ICU of Washington. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She said at the end of her shift, her feet are so tired. She puts onion poultices on her feet at night, every night.
Onion poultices on the feet every night for tired feet. working as a nurse. And she feels so much better. It's the first time I've heard it for tired feet. That's great. Yes.
Does garlic give you the same results?
It doesn't. Garlic is like a natural antibiotic, but we're going to be talking about a garlic poultice. So, yes. All right. Any other onion questions before we move on to the next one? All right. Before I go to the next one, actually, you can see there's other uses for onions down there. It's used as an odor absorber. If you have like a freshly painted room, it's really strong odors, you can just slice up some onions and put them in a bowl and put them in that room, and that'll help take up the odors from that paint. You can use it for a sick baby. Same thing, slice some up, put it in a bowl, and set it in their room close to them, but out of reach, of course. You don't want them getting a hold of that. And then they'll just be breathing in the onion, the sulfurs from the onion in the air. And so that helps with them recovering more quickly from their sickness. You can also make cough syrup with onions and honey. All you do is, I just put in a glass jar, whatever size you want to make. You chop up a bunch of onion, and in the jar you put a layer of onion, and then you put a teaspoon of honey, and then another layer of onion, honey, onion, honey, onion, honey, all the way up to the top of the jar. Top it with a good dose of honey on top, and then let it set, close it up, and let it set for 24 hours. And during that time, all the properties of the onion is seeping into the honey, and it liquefies the honey. It'll be watery. After 24 hours, you strain the onions out, and you keep that honey onion juice, put it in your fridge, and that's your cough syrup. And you just take that a teaspoon as needed for coughing. And of course, you wouldn't use it for babies because you don't give honey to babies, but anyone else, children and adults, you can use that as a cough syrup. And how long it lasts in the fridge, I'm not sure. People have said varying things, so you just pay attention to when it goes bad, okay? All right, so the next one is ginger. Now, ginger is greatly used most of the time for joints. If you have any joints, think ginger. All right, sorry for the skipping out. Used for joint pain and inflammation, such as arthritis, gout, an injury, a back pain or backache, and recovery from joint surgery. Ginger is a fascinating thing in how it just draws out inflammation. And it's something that works very, very well. We use it a lot at New Start, where I work, and we're using charcoal poultices and ginger poultices the most commonly. It's those two are our go-tos for when our clients complain of pain to us. And so it's something that is very easy to make. I have this, all right, gotta hold these down from flying away when a breeze comes. So all you're gonna do is, it's good to get a doubled over piece of plastic wrap, and doubling it over makes it much easier to work with, because then you can handle it without it just sticking all over itself and trying to bring it apart and stuff. So you double it over, that gives you a base, and you're simply going to get a piece of paper towel or a cloth, and you're going to get a grater. Now you can do any of these things with an electrical grater, but I like to have a hands-on one because you just never know when you're not going to have electricity. And so get a get a poultice kit and put a hand grater in there. And you're simply going to make sure that your ginger's clean. You don't have to peel it or anything. And you're just going to grate that. And depending on the size of the area, of course, will be how much ginger you grate. It can be surprising as to how much it will take to fill an area that you need. You can also get grating gloves so that if you're accident prone, you can protect your fingers from getting grated. All right, so that's all I'm going to do for now. But you just grate that, And you're going to wrap it up the same as we did for the onion. You're going to put that all in the center there, and then you're going to fold over all 4 edges because we want to contain it. And then there's your ginger poultice, and you can see how that's really getting nice and juicy already. And that's the side that's going to go on the skin. So this is maybe a good size for an elbow. Or you could even put it on a hand. If you've got a knuckle or joint pain in your hand, put it there. The thing to know about ginger is, sooner or later, if you have inflammation in that joint, sooner or later, anywhere from 10-15 minutes all the way up to 2 hours, you will start feeling like your skin is burning. And you'll think, oh, this ginger is burning my skin. It's not. Ginger does not burn your skin. What it is the ginger is drawing the inflammation out from your joint. And as that inflammation is being drawn out, it's bringing that heat into your skin. And it's causing it to feel like it's burning. And for different people, it's a different intensity. Some it's a mild burn. Others it's like, my skin is on fire, get this thing off of me kind of thing, which is a good sign. That means it's getting it out. And so I recommend that people wear it 4 to 5 hours if they can tolerate it that long. If you cannot tolerate it that long, then take it off. You don't have to sit there and suffer with it. Take it off. Know that it was starting to draw that inflammation out, and then the next day do it again, or a couple days later, whatever, then just keep drawing more of that out. And the more you do it, the less intense that burn will get until you do it and you don't get any burn at all. You don't get any heat, then you know that the inflammation is out of that. And usually you know that too because the pain is out. Okay? It doesn't. It's not being taken internally, but I just prefer organic for anything I take internally or apply, but it works the same, whether it's organic or not. So that's preference, personal preference. Yes, so thank you. What you do is you apply this to your painful area, and then you're going to take that, piece of plastic wrap, and you fold it down to whatever size you need to cover that for an inch or 2 around the borders. And then you're going to, say it's here, you're going to then tape the edges down, and that will contain the juiciness of it because it will get juicy. Your body heat's going to warm that ginger up, and it's going to start leaking. And so I like to tape all the edges down and then bandage it. It's good to have it covered, to have it press it on the skin. You get better contact with it. And it also helps with if juiciness does leak out, then you've got some material there to soak that up. To put an ice pack on it, you can try it. I don't know how long it would take to feel the coolness from that. If you're feeling like the heat is intolerable, to dab it with some ice, you could and see if it helps. Or just remove it and do it again later. Yeah. Yes, you can make it with paper towel, just like I did. Or you can use a piece of thin cloth, like a dish towel type of cloth. And but the ginger is not directly on the skin because you want to contain it in a pouch somehow. Otherwise, pieces are just going to go falling all over. It will become messy.
What about a Ziploc bag? Have you tried that? Or is that less effective?
A Ziploc bag to cover it with?
Instead of taping the edges and making your own bag.
Because the ginger can't be in the Ziploc bag. It has to be in a piece of cloth or material. Yeah. So the plastic has to be over it, not in it. Yeah. Total wearing time, I say 4 to 5 hours is as tolerated. And then once you've used that, then you throw it out. You don't reuse it. And just make a fresh one for the next time. Now you can find that if you're not using a lot of it and you don't want it to go moldy in the fridge, you can keep your ginger in the freezer and then just grate it frozen. And it works just the same. That's what we do at New Start because we don't know how much or how little we're going to be using it, so we store it in the freezer. When we need one, we just grate it frozen. And it is very cold to apply it that way, for one thing, which some people don't mind. If they do mind it, then I will put it in the microwave for like 15 seconds just to defrost it a little bit so it's not that ice cold, okay? And it makes it easier. It's just like coming out of the fridge more than that way. But that's a way of preserving your ginger if you're not using it too often. So if you have, it does, like I said, feel like the ginger is burning your skin, but it's not the ginger, it's the inflammation coming out. But if you do know that you have very sensitive skin, then the ginger might irritate it. And what you can do is put a little bit of olive oil or castor oil on the skin over the area, and then put the poultice over that. And that will keep your skin more protected if you have that sensitivity. All right. So, and then there's other uses for ginger there internally, helping with internal inflammation and warming your body. A lot of people know it's good for nausea, morning sickness, all of those kinds of things. That's by drinking ginger tea. And so there's instructions there on your handout on how to make fresh ginger tea if you want to use it internally for those things. And you can also grate fresh turmeric with it because that helps with inflammation as well. In any of these poultices, you can combine stuff. So it's not like you can just do exactly what I'm telling you. Get creative. You could put some onion, chop some onion in with your ginger and get a little strong reaction. With the cabbage poultice that I talk about, I had one lady tell me about how that she would make a cabbage poultice by freezing the cabbage leaf, and then when it defrosts, it kind of makes it it releases its juices, and then they added a sprinkling of charcoal powder and some castor oil to it, and that was their cabbage poultice. I'm not going to go through all that today. I'm just going to tell you how to make a cabbage one. But so you can combine things with these to get more of an effect. If you know what a certain food does on the body, like the things we're talking about, then you can know how to combine them for the effect that you're aiming for. Okay? And that can be pretty fun. Any questions on ginger before I go on? Yes. Yes. Yep. Any kind of arthritis because it's all inflammation. So anything that's causing that inflammation. Okay. So cabbage poultice is our next one. So this is used for joint and soft tissue pain and inflammation. Now you might notice how that, charcoal worked for inflammation, ginger works for inflammation, now cabbage works for inflammation. Which one do I use? Well, you can use any of them. And your body will tell you which one it likes the most by the one that gives you the most relief. And so if you try a charcoal poultice and it didn't work, well then try a ginger one, or vice versa. Or if none of those work, then try the cabbage. Or maybe all three of them work just the same, and you can use any of them that you can easily access at the time. And so it's something that it's not like, one is just far superior than the other. They're all very good, and you can use them and find what your body responds to, okay? So cabbage poultice is for those things such as the same thing as it's used for ginger poultice, and also for sciatica and strains and sprains, for mastitis, lymphedema, blood and lymphatic congestion, wound healing, including ulcers, skin infections, and sunburns. Got darker so you could see the pictures better. It's lymphedema there on the top picture, and then of course a sunburn there on the second one. But a cabbage poultice is, again, very easy to make. And basically what you're trying to do is bruise the leaves because you're wanting it to release the juices. It's the cabbage juice that you are after, and that's what has the healing properties. So you're going to get your doubled over handy dandy wrap there, and I like to always take off the outer layers of a cabbage because you just never know who handled those at the store. And then you're going to peel off some leaves, and you want to cut out that thick center vein. This one's fairly small on this one so far, but sometimes they're really, really thick. You're just going to remove that, and then on your piece of plastic wrap, you're going to then crush that. And you can do it in some different ways. You can do it with a meat hammer, meat tenderizer, and that fairly quickly starts to release the juices and soften that. Or I have found that doing it that way, once it starts, you've done it for a little bit, little pieces of cabbage start flying. So then you have to and hold it down and hold it down. So, but it works very well. Or you can use a rolling pin where you're just crushing it. And I'm not going to thoroughly do it, but you can see how the rolling pin is already getting the juices on it there. So you just keep doing that until that leaf is nice and soft and mushy, basically. It doesn't have to be pulverized. We're not aiming for that. We're just wanting to bruise it and soften it up. And then once it is, which this one isn't quite enough, you're going to simply put that directly on the skin. And if it's a larger area, of course, you would then do more leaves to cover a larger place. If it's a smaller area, you might have half of this. I have heard many times women that did use this for mastitis, and it gave them such relief, like instant relief. And I had a friend who had unexplained breast pain. She had had it for, it's like the tenderness you would get during your monthly cycle, but it would never go away. And she had it for a year. And so what she did is she heard me talk about cabbage poultice for mastitis, and so she was like, well, I wonder if it would help what's going on with me. So she did that. And one thing she said is when she put that on, it was just instant relief. That felt so good. And she applied it for one time, and the pain went away, and it never came back. And so even if you don't know what's causing it or if it's going to help or not, try it, because you just never know if that will. And if it doesn't, you haven't lost anything other than a few cabbage leaves. Okay? Now, red cabbage will do the same thing, but it will stain. And so that's why I do recommend using green. And the same for the onion. You can use red onions, yes, but it will stain. And so use white or yellow for that purpose so that you're not staining everything with that. All right, so you're going to leave on a cabbage poultice anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. After you put that with the plastic wrap around it, you're then going to secure it with some bandaging of some sort. Am I a broken record yet? You got the idea? This is how every poultice goes, okay? You put it on and you secure it there and wear it for several hours. So 2 to 6 hours, and you can do that twice a day. So you would wear one for 2 to 6 hours, then you'd throw that away, get another new poultice and put that on again for another 2 to 6 hours, or you can wear it overnight, okay? So there is an alternative way for making a stronger potency, and that's by blending it without water, but blending it. If you want to do it that way, you can read that, but I'm going to go on to the next poultice. Any questions about cabbage? All right. Yes? Sciatic pain, it would be more, it can be on the glute. Depends on where it's referring from. Sometimes it can be the lower nerves of the back and the lumbar area. So you could put it there, and sometimes it can be the piriformis muscle that's tight and pinching the nerve. So you could put it over the glute there. Those are the two main sources for sciatic pain. So it's not like you have to put cabbage all the way down your leg where the pain goes, but you want to put it where it's originating. Yes. All right, potato poultice. So potato poultice is used for soft tissue pain and inflammation. So this is another one you can try, such as sprains and strains, ingrown toenails, tissue injury. It's also used for sensitive areas of the body, such as the eyes or the lips or the genitals. And it's used for drawing out infections, splinters, debris, any of that kind of thing, something that gets embedded in your skin. You can do a potato poultice because it draws out. And how deep it is, it will depend on how long it takes for it to draw it out. But say it's a splinter, and it's too deep where you can't get the end of it and you don't want to go digging, or your child doesn't want you to go digging, then you can do a little potato poultice over that finger and just keep doing that until you see the end of that splinter and you can get to it and just pull it out because it'll draw it. I had a friend who used it for her eye. She was working in a kitchen, and it was for a lifestyle center, so it was a large kitchen, and they use chemicals for cleaning. And she had opened the new container of the chemical solution, but as she did, the lid popped and it splashed chemical into her eye. And it was one that could have blinded her. And what she did is she, of course, rinsed her eye for like 20 minutes, flushed it out, and then once she was done working, she went home, and her eye was getting red and puffy and swollen, and she had heard about potato poultice, but she didn't believe in it. But she thought, what do I have to lose? I could lose my vision. Maybe I'll just go ahead and try this and see if it does anything. So she did. She made a potato poultice and wore it overnight, and in the morning, the redness was gone and the swelling was going down, and she was feeling so much better. So she knew it was doing something good. So what she did was she did that again the next day when she could, as she was not working. She just did it, I think, for 3 days whenever she had the opportunity, and she would wear it overnight and just get like a headband and secure it over the eye overnight or something to hold it there. And by the end of 3 days, her eye was back to normal, and she did not lose any of her vision. Potato poultice also, I don't have it on there, I keep forgetting to add it, is also used for burns. Any kind of burn that you have. There was a story of this one girl who, I don't know how old she was, maybe 8, 9, 10. She had gotten a severe burn on her chest. It was either boiling water or boiling oil. I don't remember, but it was very bad. And her parents knew about using potato for burns. You can, if you use it on an injury that's about a week old. It's certainly not going to hurt it, and it could help. So, but of course, with anything, the sooner the better. But just because it's not immediate doesn't mean it won't be helpful later. All right, so this is a small one, and it's fairly thick. I was talking and not paying attention to how much I was grating. But you can see that's nice and wet with all that potato juice. And that's all you do. You just grate it up. If it's going to be put on broken skin, you just want to make sure there's no dirt in the eyes. But typically this is on something that is unbroken skin. Okay? Just scrub your potato, make sure it's clean, and then you put that on, and same thing. You've got your plastic, you fold it down to size, and you have that over there. You tape it down. That's going to get juicy. You're going to start dripping potato juice if you don't seal that in somehow. So you tape it down, secure it with your bandage, and you wear that for several hours or for overnight. And then, repeat as needed until that issue has cleared up. Okay? Yes? I like to use paper tape because it's just easier on the skin. So, yeah, the paper tape used in hospitals and clinics and things like that, you can get them at Walmart, any pharmacy. It's gentler for the skin. And they even have, some people find that tape can even be irritating, and so they'll also have tapes that are for sensitive skin. Yes?
I want to make a comment that you can also use it for potatoes for a fever. You can slice them and put them in a headband and tie it around your head.
Okay.
Will go into the potatoes.
So she's saying you can also use potato for a fever. You just slice the potato, put it in a headband, put it around the head, and it pulls the heat of the fever out. Interesting. I hadn't heard of that one. An old Indian remedy. Okay, nice. So potatoes are great for all kinds of things. Who knew? And we love to eat them, so most people have them in their house, right? Yes. Helpful for healing that? Yeah, it can be. I would say potato or charcoal. Either one of those would help with that. Yes. Okay. Any other potato questions? Yes. Migraine headaches? I haven't heard of it used for that. You can try it. There is a hydrotherapy treatment for migraines, and that's a hot foot bath with cold to the head as well. And so I would say you can even maybe apply some potatoes while you do a hot foot bath. Try that combination. But yeah, migraines are a little trickier because they're harder to get rid of than just a headache. And if they have gotten a hold, it's hard to, get them to go away. You can do things to diminish the severity of it, but if you can do certain things at the onset, if you can tell a migraine is coming, and you can do a hot foot bath, then you could possibly stop it from progressing. But that'll be tomorrow. All right. Was there... Okay. Cayenne poultice. So this is super simple to make as well, and very, very handy. And it's something that you put on your feet or on your neck. So you use it for neuropathy, for cold feet, for poor circulation in the legs or the feet, to prevent sickness, and for hypothyroidism. So for the hypothyroidism, that is something that if you're on thyroid medicine, that you would want to be, your doctor would want to be aware that you are doing that, because it could change the need of medicine and the amount wise. Cayenne is a blood stimulant. It's not a nerve stimulant like chili pepper and black pepper and those kinds of things. It's a blood stimulant. And so it wakes up anything. And so if you have hypothyroid, which is a low thyroid, then it will help to wake up your thyroid. And we had there was a lady I've heard that had this, and she heard about cayenne poultice, and so she did it that night when she got home, and she didn't sleep because it woke up her thyroid, which then woke her up, right? So this is something that you would do in the morning only, okay? If you're doing it for your thyroid, and you would make it the same as for the feet, but you might make it on only half a strip of paper towel, maybe whatever will fit around the neck, and again, it's from ear to ear, all right? The one I'm going to make right now is going to be the size for a foot, but it's the same, made in the same way. So you just have your plastic wrap underneath it, and you drizzle a little bit of oil on this. This simply is to make the cayenne pepper stick to the paper towel, because otherwise, if the material is dry, then your cayenne pepper is not going to stay on there. Okay? And so you get the size, say, of the foot that you're going to be placing on there, and you simply sprinkle some cayenne pepper over that oil. Generally about half a teaspoon for an average size foot, and there it is. Okay? So then what you're going to do is you're going to put the bare foot over, say this is the sole of my foot, right? You're going to put your foot on there, and then you wrap the plastic around the foot, and you slip a sock on. and you do the same thing for the other foot, and you get in bed. And that's it. Super simple to make. You wear it overnight. Now you would think, oh, my feet are going to start burning all night long. I've done it, and it doesn't. I actually didn't even feel any heat at all from it until the wee hours of the morning, close to when I was about to get up, where my feet are feeling like they're getting a little warm from this. And so don't worry about that. What you could worry about is, and this is what I discovered, when I did it, my feet weren't hot all night long, but as I was up and about the next day, my feet felt like they were on fire. And I didn't even have the cayenne on them anymore. And I found out that that is an indication of good circulation. So if you do this and your feet are on fire the next day, you've got good circulation, okay? You don't need to do it. But doing it for like the poor circulation that causes neuropathy, like diabetic neuropathy, it's often induced by poor circulation, or other issues that can cause that as well, and cold feet. You can do this and your feet won't feel like they're burning the next day. And you don't do it every night. For neuropathy, you do it every 2 nights. For cold feet, it would be like every 3 nights. And then as you're starting to get improvement and you're noticing, say if it's neuropathy and you're starting to get tingling or feeling back, any kind of feeling or sensation, even if it's burning, as you go into neuropathy, you start going in layers. You've got some tingling happening, and then you get some pins and needles, and then you've got a burning before you finally go numb. Well, if you're reversing that, you're also reversing those sensations in your feet. So you are going to start feeling that burning, and then that pins and needles and tingling as you're reversing that process, which is a good sign. So take courage with that, that it's working and it's doing its job, and keep doing it until you have your full feeling back. Also, contrast foot baths, we'll be talking about tomorrow. That also helps with reversing neuropathy. You will hear a lot that neuropathy is irreversible, but I beg to differ because we have seen it over and over and over again at New Start, where their neuropathy reversed. I remember one, it doesn't always happen this dramatically for everyone this quickly, but one guest that we had, he had not felt his feet for 10 years, and his neuropathy was clear up to his knees. And he was there for 18 days. We gave him his regular treatments. We also gave him some extra foot baths, contrast foot baths, and by the time he left, he was feeling rocks in his shoes. And he was like so excited, about that because he was feeling again. And we've had many, even after just doing 1 or 2 contrast foot baths, start noticing a difference in their feet. And but anyways, again, that's tomorrow. I'm getting ahead of myself. But this will help in doing the same thing. And so it helps with preventing sickness. Again, it's that blood stimulant, and so you're getting better circulation in the body through doing that. And you will see the other uses for cayenne pepper there on your handouts. And for thinning the blood, again, if you're on any medication for that, you want to do that under doctor's supervision. You can use it for a sore throat just by drinking cayenne water. You can either just mix some in the water and drink it down if you're brave, or sometimes you can put it in a bottle of water, like a quarter teaspoon or half a teaspoon. I did that when I went to Europe a few years ago on a Reformation tour, and I have wanted to do that kind of thing for years, and I was so excited to be there and doing that, but I started feeling like right at the beginning like I was getting sick. And I was like, I did not come all this way to spend the week in the hotel room while everyone else goes and sees all these sights. And so I had brought my cayenne with me, actually, in case something happened like that. And I just put it in my, the different bottle, but I put it in my water bottle, and that's what I drank all day, was cayenne water. And we were walking 7 to 9 miles a day. It was intense, but I never got sick. And I just drank that cayenne water for a few days. It was a clear water bottle, and sometimes I would have people, ooh, what are you drinking? And I was like, cayenne, and they're like, oh. So, anyways, it worked. Praise the Lord. Yes.
Have you ever had success with this poultice on regenerating cut nerve?
Regenerating a cut nerve, a severed nerve. I don't know. I haven't heard of a testimony about that. It's worth a try, is what I would say. That and contrast to it, because the contrast can help with, and there was here and then there.
Since it thins the blood, would you advise anybody that's taking blood thinners to be careful about?
Exactly. So if you're on medication, you want to do it under your doctor's supervision, because those that are on blood thinners usually have to get their blood checked, fairly frequently, and you would want to be having that checked and making sure that it's not getting too thin. Definitely. If you how long would you use it for neuropathy, and if you stop using it, will the neuropathy come back? Is that what you said? You would use it for as long as you are getting results from it, and that feeling and sensation is coming back, and clear until it comes all the way back, and or clear until you start getting burning feet the next day when you don't have the cayenne on you, because that is telling you that you have good circulation down in your lower extremities. So that would, how severe it is would depend on how long you would use it for. You have to gauge it by how your body responds to it. You don't use it every night. At the most, it's every other night. So every 2 to 3 nights, yes. And then what was your second question? I had repeated it. Will it come back? Well, there's varying factors. Are you changing your diet that's causing the diabetes, that's causing the neuropathy, or whatever it is? If it was an injury, that might be a different thing. Will it come back? Usually it does not. If it comes back, that tells you that you also need to be addressing something else as what's the root cause of this. I think it was there, and then there, and then there. Yes. Yeah. Does using it on your feet have the same effect as drinking it as far as blood thinning? No, it doesn't. Using it on your feet is stimulating the circulation, getting it going well. It's not thinning the blood like taking it internally. Yes. Okay.
My father told me when I was a young adult that he went to the doctor and had some blood tests done, and the doctor came back and told him he had blood cancer. Cancer in his blood.
Her father had blood cancer. Okay.
So he was to come back in 3 months and talk about, follow up what to do about it.
Follow up in 3 months.
So my dad went home and started drinking cayenne.
Her father went home and started drinking cayenne.
With that, had a new blood test done, and the doctor said, "Your cancer's gone. What did you do?"
Oh, and he had a new blood test done in those 3 months later, and the doctor asked him, "What did you do? Your cancer is gone."
And my dad told him, "I told you, you would never believe me," and walked out the door.
And her father told him, "If I told you, you would never believe me," and he walked out the door. That's true. Wow. That's amazing. That's a great, yeah, that is. That is the power of these things that God has made and given us. And like I said, I reiterate it because people think pepper, you can't do pepper. It's a blood stimulant, not a nerve stimulant. It's not in the same family as chili peppers and black peppers. That's a whole different thing. That is what irritates and stimulates. But there was someone else, and I'll come back.
Have you found that there's anything that you should not mix with it? Like
Anything that you shouldn't mix with the cayenne? Well, that depends. Cayenne will enhance anything you take it with. So if you're not wanting to enhance the effects of something, then don't take it with it. But that is something you can use to your advantage by taking it with herbs, say, and it will enhance the effects of the herbs internally for you.
I've been told too, if someone's having a heart attack
Mm-hmm.
and you have nothing in the
Mm-hmm.
house, that putting some cayenne pepper on the tongue
Yes. If someone's having a heart attack and you have nothing else around the house, you can put cayenne pepper under their tongue. And that will, it takes, 1 minute for a drop of blood to get around the whole circulatory system. And so in 1 to 2 minutes, that is going to start bringing them relief from the heart attack. Yeah. I've heard stories about that. Yes. Okay.
I have poor circulation. I've got a double whammy here. I'd love to do this, but I also have hyperthyroidism.
Okay.
So I'm not sure the two would go together.
Well, taking it internally is not necessarily going to increase your thyroid. It's doing the poultice over the thyroid directly itself. So you just would not want to do that. But you can take it internally for the other.
But I can do the poultice.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the poultice on the feet is not going to stimulate the thyroid. Yeah, good question. All right. Garlic poultice. This is another very quick and easy one. Something super simple that you can do if you feel like you are getting sick, or if you are sick, or if you have a sick baby, whatever, or children. This is a way to boost your immune system. So you're using it for fighting sickness and increasing your immune system, because we all know, or probably all know, that garlic has natural antibiotic properties. And so all you're going to do is take a raw piece of garlic and you're going to slice it. And you can do 1 to 3 slices. And you're simply going to put it on a strip of material. So here I got, let's see, I'm going to put them down here. I have a couple slices of the garlic. I want to put 1 layer of material over that. And what I'm going to do is I want to put my foot, the bottom of my foot again, on that. And then you just wrap the rest of that around it. And if you're doing it overnight, you just slip a sock over that and go to bed. You can do that on each foot. And pretty soon you're going to be tasting garlic in your mouth, like I did with the onions. And that's just getting those garlic properties quickly into your bloodstream, because again, the bottom of the feet have the largest pores of the body. So that's getting in there quickly. And you can do this on a baby's foot. If they're sick, help them recover quicker. They can't be eating the garlic necessarily so much, but you can still get it into them. And you never, ever, ever want to mince it or crush it, because that will release too much of the garlic oils and juices, and that will burn the bottom of your foot, or the baby's, or whoever's foot. So you only slice it, and that way it's enough to release it, but not too much. It won't burn if you have that 1 layer of cloth over it. Okay? You don't put the garlic directly on the skin. But you don't have to wrap it in too many layers, or you're not going to get the benefit from it. So you just have that 1 layer, and you wrap that. If it's a larger foot, of course, have a longer strip of cloth. Make sure that's secure, and you're good to go. Typically, that is worn overnight. You can do it during the day as well. I just can't guarantee what your shoes are going to smell like. Okay? So I have not tried it during the day for that reason. I don't want to have to buy new shoes. But that is something super quick and easy to do. You can even do that if you're here camping and you feel like you're coming down with something. Go get some garlic, slice it, wrap it on your foot, and go to bed. And you should be feeling better in the morning. All right? So, other uses for garlic, it says they're consuming, Barbara O'Neill says that consuming 4 raw cloves of garlic a day equals a natural antibiotic. So you can eat that in different ways. You can chop it on salads, into soups. You can toast some bread and put some avocado and tomato and minced garlic on there. Something that is very helpful to know is that it's the allicin property of the garlic that is so good for the immune system. And it's called allicin. It's not spelled the same as the name, but it sounds the same. And that is lost if you cook the garlic in, say, a pot of soup or something like that. What is better to do instead is to cook your soup or cook your dish, and then once it's done, either crush or chop or mince your garlic up and throw it in at the last minute after it's done cooking. And then you will retain those properties of the garlic that are so helpful for your immune system. Okay? I don't know who was first.
I heard that mincing the garlic and waiting for 10 minutes.
That too, yes. So when it's raw, mincing it or crushing it and waiting 10 minutes, that is giving it time for it to really release the allicin, and you'll get more of that rather than if you just consume it immediately. So just let it set for 10 minutes.
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay.
Effectiveness and let it sit down.
Yes, yes. Very good. Thank you for reminding me of that. Over here and then here. Garlic lowers blood pressure, yes. With parsley? Yeah, you can. It doesn't matter. No, just garlic itself can. And we do that at New Start, actually. We do roasted garlic for guests with high blood pressure. And they have the kitchen roast some whole bulbs of it and then serve that at mealtime to the guests with high blood pressure. And they notice a difference pretty quickly using it that way. Over here and then there. In the capsule, the odorless ones that you can use. I have not heard anything terribly negative about them. They have good properties in them. It's a way of getting more concentrated garlic. At the same time, I do like doing things even a little more naturally, the way God made it. I think our body recognizes it better that way. But I have taken the kyolic garlic at times myself when I was wanting some extra. Yes. As a blood thinner. Yeah. No, I haven't really heard of that as a blood thinner as much as the other things for it. But I can see how garlic would have some propensity for that. I'd have to research more into it. But yes. All right, done with our garlic questions? Okay. Castor oil compress. So castor oil is fascinating. Now, some people don't have this in their kitchens as much as they used to. So this is the one that you may or may not have in your kitchen. But a lot of people, when I talk about this, remember growing up having to take a spoonful of castor oil a day. And thankfully, I didn't grow up in that area, so I've never had that unpleasant experience from what I've heard people say. They're like, yeah, we had to do that. But castor oil is the thickest oil, and that causes it to penetrate the deepest into the body. And so it is used for breaking up any unnatural lumps, bumps, growths, adhesions such as cysts, gallstones, kidney stones, tumors, bone spurs, calcifications. It's also used for irritable bowel syndrome and for diarrhea or constipation. Now you think, well, those are the opposites. How can it help both of them? But actually, the body uses it for whatever it needs it for. And I think on your handouts, I have there somewhere. Did I take it out? No, I don't have it on there, I don't think. That I think it's Psalm 104 something, how that God made herbs for the service of man. And our bodies know how to utilize those things for what it needs. And that is something that if you do a castor oil compress on the abdomen, say every night, overnight, that can help with either your constipation or your diarrhea. It helps with the irritable bowel, which usually goes back and forth between the two. So it does work. And how it is used for unnatural lumps and bumps is because of it being that very thick oil, it penetrating deeply, it goes in and it gradually softens up and breaks up those unnatural lumps and bumps. So people have used it for bone spurs in their knees and their feet, that kind of thing. And I'll have people ask, well, is it going to break up my bones though? I have bone spurs on my neck. Is it going to like start taking away my neck bones, my vertebrae? It does not do anything to your natural bone, your God-given bone. It's the unnatural calcifications and lumps and bumps that it breaks up, not your bone. Yes. I'm sorry, what? Got rid of a wart with castor oil. Haha, interesting. Yeah, it's used for, I'll have to try that. I've gotten rid of warts with oregano oil, but that can tend to burn a little bit because it's very strong, but I can try castor oil for getting rid of warts. So yeah, and that's basically an unnatural growth, and so it helps with breaking that up. And all you do, this is a little bit different. Here, I've made this compress out of a Chuck's pad or an incontinence pad. You can get them for people and adults, or you can get them their potty training pads at the pet store, which I think is cheaper. But sometimes even Goodwill, because people will get rid of them and they'll have a brand new bag, and you can get them. It's just a material on one side and plastic on the other. And what I do is I separate the plastic from the material and I put in an old washcloth because you're wanting to make a thick compress. Okay, so I put that washcloth in there, and you can see how I've already taped down 3 sides of it. I would then fold this edge down and tape it down as well. I just left it open so you could see what I did inside. And then you're going to take your castor oil, and I'm not going to actually do it, but you're going to pour that out until it fills about 1/3 of the center of that. And, this is a fairly large size. You can make it whatever size you need. If you're going to do it over a knee or somewhere smaller, you could even make it a quarter size. And then you would fill 1/3 of that center with the castor oil, so whatever size you have, and then you let it set for 30 minutes. Because of it being so thick, it's going to take a while for it to soak into that. Because if you pour that on there and then take it and put it on you, that's all just going to go dripping down you. It takes a while to soak in. So you give it that half an hour to soak into the compress, and then you're going to apply that to you. And you're going to secure that down with some kind of something, depending on where you have it. So you could have this over the abdomen if you're wearing it overnight, have some snug underwear holding it on, or pajamas, or you could wrap something around you. You could tape it down. You could do whatever just to get it where it's going to hold on you. You do it on your back, do it wherever, and you can wear this like overnight, or you could wear it during the day as well, under your clothing, whichever works better for your schedule and your need. And you can reuse it. So you wear it one night, you wear it the next night. When you start feeling like this is getting a little dry, you just add a little bit more oil, not a full third again, but a teaspoon or 2 or so to refresh it, and you keep using it. How long you use it, that's your personal preference. If it starts smelling old or rancid or whatever, toss it, make a new one, and then be using that. But you're simply needing something thick that will contain the oil so that it will then soak into you. Okay, rubbing some of the castor oil over the area is not going to do the same thing because you just can't get that much into you by just rubbing it on the skin. Does that make sense? So you can use it in other ways as well, but for a compress, you will use it for a minimum of 5 hours, 5 days a week. Now, this is a slower working one. You do have to, it's not going to just immediately go in and start blasting, bumps away. It's something that you have to be consistent with for a time, and so you do need patience with that. And 5 hours, at least 5 hours, 5 days a week, and you use it as long as you need. You know, if you're using it for a bone spur, then you're going to start noticing that you're having less pain. Okay? And then when your pain is gone, you can stop using it. There was one lady who had some cysts on her breasts, and they had measured them, the size of it, and they scheduled her for an operation to get the lumps removed. It was 2 months out. Well, she learned after that about using the castor oil. And so what she did is she would put some castor oil on a panty liner and let it soak in, and then she would tuck that into her bra over the cysts and the lumps, and she just wore that all day, every day. And she said it felt really good. It was soothing. And she did that until she had her operation. Well, she had that, and when they took the lumps out, they measured them, and they told her afterwards, they said that the size of those lumps had significantly diminished. And so she was excited about that. She was telling her friends afterwards, and they're like, well, why did you get the operation then? And she said, well, I didn't know until I got the operation that it was breaking those up, and they were shrinking and gradually going away. So you can use it in various ways. You know, you don't have to just do it this way, but that is an easy way to do it if you want to have it in a way where you're going to be repeating it a lot. So to speed the absorption of the oil, you can also put it on wherever and then put a heating pad over it. And that will drive it down into, you say it's over your knee or something, that will get it down into your deeper layers of you faster. Just be mindful that it is a very thick oil. It will stain, so you want to work with it in a way to try to keep it off of your clothing and bed sheets and stuff like that. Okay? So other uses for castor oil that you can see there on your handout is used for cataract, glaucoma. And that is by just using them as eye drops, because it will gradually go in and break up that cataract, kind of dissolve it. If you don't want to put the drop directly in the eye, you can put the drop on your eyelid and just rub it in a little bit, and then as you sleep, because you're doing this at night right before bed, it will make your vision a little bit blurry for 5-10 minutes. If you do it right before bed, it doesn't matter. So you put that on and you go to bed, and you just do that every night until that is resolved. For glaucoma, it depends on what is causing the glaucoma, but sometimes the pressure buildup is caused by certain, I forget the technical name of it, but certain duct or something getting clogged, and so the castor oil helps with breaking up what's clogging it and freeing that up, so then it lowers the pressure in the eye. You can also, but I will say before I say the next thing, it depends on if you're taking medicated eye drops, because you don't want to use castor oil if you are close to the time that you take your medicated eye drops. It needs to be 8 to 12 hours away from the medication. Okay, so if you're taking drops every 12 hours, then you can't use castor oil. Okay, that makes sense. It can remove foreign objects from the eye. If you've got something in there that's just not coming out, put some castor oil in there, and the castor oil will surround that, and it will gradually move it to the corner of your eye here where you can get it out. Okay, you can also use it for dry eyes. I have a coworker who her eyes were just really irritating her, and I put some castor oil in her eyes there at work, and it was like immediate relief. She's like, I got to get some of that stuff. That's really good. So, and yes, it did make her vision a little bit blurry, but like I said, I've used it myself for some eye irritations, and it was blurry for 5 to 10 minutes. I could still see. It's not like I was blind. But to just be mindful of that, maybe you'll need to do one eye at a time if that causes a problem for you, and then do the second eye once that first one has cleared up. And you just use it and repeat it as you need it. It's not going to be harmful to you. But you will notice there on an important note, it's on your handout, that you want to get castor oil that's in a dark glass bottle, that's cold pressed and hexane free. Hexane is a solvent. Sometimes they will use it for extracting oils and things. And so it's actually in gasoline. So you want to get a castor oil that's hexane free, and it is better to be organic. It's soaking into your body, so I do recommend it to be organic. I find a lot of castor oil in health food stores will be in a clear plastic bottle. I don't like that. You want it to be in a dark glass bottle. It might be brown, it might be blue, whatever the color is, that doesn't matter. But a dark glass bottle, that's a better quality of castor oil. Okay? At the health food store. Oh, how do you store it? On the shelf. Doesn't have to be refrigerated, just in a cool, dry place. Yeah. How long will what last? A bottle of it. Depends on how much you're using it. Storage-wise? It should. This has, when did I get this? I've had it maybe a year, and this says 2024. So a few years, I guess, 2 or 3 years, as far as what they have a date on it for. If you want to see, maybe if you store it in the fridge, it might last longer. But, yeah. Can you put it over the liver? You can put it anywhere. Yes. Oh. That breaks up the buns is because it's the thickness of the oil itself. I don't know the chemical compound of it. Other oils don't do it. It's the castor oil because of it penetrating more deeply. And the body is utilizing it to break it up. I don't know like a name of a chemical that's in it that's breaking it up, but it's the thickness of the oil. And there was another one? Yes. Castor beans. They call it either castor beans or castor seeds. They come in the little prickly balls, and inside each ball is 3 beans, and they extract the oil from that. Yes. So, you don't eat those beans. Yes. A testimonial on glaucoma? No, just on cataracts. Yeah. As far as hearing personal testimonies. Yes. All right. Well, we are, I think, is there one more quote? Yes. Always study and teach the use of the simplest remedies, and the special blessing of the Lord may be expected to follow the use of these means which are within the reach of the common people. Are cabbage and potatoes within the reach of common people? They are. Ginger, onions, maybe not so much castor oil, but all these things, they are simple means that are within the reach. And anywhere you go around the world, you're going to be able to get at least some of, if not all of these things in people's homes. And you can use them. And learning how to use them skillfully is such a blessing to people, to yourself, to your family, your friends, to strangers, all of these things. And it's simple means that you can share anywhere you go. And even if someone, you don't speak their language, say you're on a mission trip, you don't speak their language, but you can see what's going on and you would know, hey, a potato poultice would help that. You can make one up, you can put that on there, and they can start feeling that relief, right? So you just never know how God will use you to be a blessing to others with this kind of information. So that's it for today. Like I said, tomorrow, 2 o'clock, I will be talking on hydrotherapy. The basics of it, what it's doing to your body, what happens in the hot and the cold, and then how to do some of the most basic treatments at home where you don't have fancy equipment like we do at New Start, okay? You can still do it yourselves and accomplish those same things. So we're just going to close with a word of prayer. If anyone else has questions, feel free to come on up. All right, let's pray. Our precious Heavenly Father, we thank you again so much for this time that we have had together. I pray that you would bless each dear soul here, Lord, that you would bless not only the things that we've been learning in these natural remedies, but each one of the presentations, and that you would open our hearts and our minds to receive the blessings and the truths that you have, that you want us to know, that you want us to grow by, so that we can know you more and draw closer to you, that you can prepare us and fit us for heaven. I pray that you will work through these natural, simple remedies being used to help others, that it will open others' hearts to you, and that they will see your blessing in their lives through these means. We thank you so much and ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.